here. I'm reading The Only Planet of Choice, Essential Briefings from Deep Space, a provocative and mind-opening experience, according to James J. Hortak, PhD. Transceiver Phyllis V Schlemmer, edited by Mary Bennett. It has me gripped, and I need to continue aloud. Today is the 24th of July 2020. I found this book in my loft. Chapter 8, page 101, Accelerating Earth's Evolution. The first part of this chapter addresses specific issues, and then, when Irene joins in the discussion, take a philosophical turn, as she explores with Tom various ideas and attitudes. The chapter lives up to its title. It feels as if it is speeding up. John. I think the most important question to people on Earth at this time is what they can as individuals do, and how they can as individuals make things different so that our planet fulfills its destiny. Tom. First and foremost, they must recognize that each of them contains the entire universe within themselves. Each of them contains all creation. Therefore, when they understand that, then hopefully they will understand that if they go against their own integrity, the integrity of the universe may be affected. They must consult within themselves, for their motive is in all actions. They must learn to love themselves, and the only way they may love themselves is never to do what they will dislike themselves for. What is important is that each person upon this planet Earth must understand that there is existence everywhere. They must understand that they hold the key to the evolutionary process in the universe. It is a time of awakening. It is a time to understand that within the self they hold the key for bringing Earth to its fulfillment, and that the free will is never interfered with. The destruction of planet Earth is not necessary. This must be understood clearly, for the free will of humankind can bring the fulfillment to Earth. John. He's a questioner. This is question and answers largely. John. Many have talked of a coming transformation, and it seems we are approaching this time. Can you say anything about such a transformation and what that means? Tom. It is true that Earth is on the threshold of transformation. It is on the threshold of releasing souls and beings from bondage, so they may continue to elevate and purify Earth, so that the universe may continue its path. It is a glorious time right now to live on your planet in physical form. Know always that this energy of individual will remain individual, but what will be understood is the power of thought, the energy of love, the power that humans hold within themselves to make your world a representation of the universe. Your world is a glorious place for all its portions of the universe to exist and to fulfill and to be one with creation in great joy. John. If you had one message that you wish to pass to all of mankind, what would that message be? Tom. Know fully that you hold the key within yourself, each of you humans, to bring about change. It is your responsibility, your free will, your choice. John. Now there at this time may confusing messages coming from different psychic and prophetic sources. What are the criteria that people should use to discern between these different sources? Tom. First and foremost, we explain in this manner. As there are corporation heads, one of which knows all, and the different divisions underneath which know the area of expertise of their department, it is the same in the realm of communication from those who exist in other realms. A few sources know all of the pictures, and many know parts of it. But be careful when they make you glorious. Always challenge, look for consistency, and never accept that goes against your natural inclination or your higher intuitive self. Be careful they do not feed your ego in order to manipulate you, for there are also those who wish the destruction of planet Earth. Do not fall into the trap that Earth will be destroyed. In your world there are many that speak, many that bring forth information. We bring forth to you information that has not been brought forth in time past, and it is the next step of forward evolutionary movement. It is important for the peoples upon planet Earth to understand that they are not alone, and that they carry within them the coding that can evolve planet Earth to achieve its proper purpose. Remember this: those who seek to control are in high profile in the front of society and lead people in a direction that helps them evade their own responsibility. But bear in mind that acceleration is now absolutely important. We have come to the beginning of acceleration of evolutionary forwardness of planet Earth. There is great necessity to accelerate for the oceans of planet Earth, the trees and forests, the skies and atmospheres, the very essence of breathing. The life force have reached a level of contamination, bringing the downward destruction of Earth. We call upon your energies and commitment for alerting the people of this planet, the governments of Earth, and the communities of Earth. The innermost core of humankind is beginning to glow and to glow. The essence and understanding of their beginnings is awakening to bring about change. You are part of that change. You are children of that change. You are responsible for that change. Without your commitment to acceleration, if the change were to come in its own time, without your input, then the planet would be in a situation in which most of humankind could not exist. Accept your ability to create the pattern that brings about understanding and the truth of who you are. Earth was created to be the paradise of all paradise in its perfection. It is time for forgiveness of self, for humankind to understand that to maintain fear and dissension is to maintain annihilation. Humankind has begun the process of annihilation. Yet there is a great future for the fulfillment of the destiny of Earth. Accept that you have a part to play in bringing it to fulfillment. You have no limitations. Your limits and boundaries are created only by your fears. This does not mean that you should climb a 1,000-meter mountain and then plunge off it. It means that you must have practical application of understanding of yourself. In truth, it means that you must begin to extend yourself in the capacities of your mind and thoughts. Your physical bodies have limitations upon this physical planet, but your minds and thoughts can expand and grow, touch all corners of the universe. And when it understands the truth of self, it can relieve the burden of this physical world that have held it in bondage. You humans are a kaleidoscope, and will appear at times confused. Yet, with one turn, you can become elements of beauty and purity, and with that you may travel the spheres of the universe. John. Now, if I were to imagine for a moment that everything remained in a static state, humanity did not improve its consciousness, understanding of the environment and responsibility, it would be valuable for us to understand how long it would be before we would actually totally destroy our environment. Tom, with regards to the atmosphere surrounding the planet Earth, you have no longer than 20 to 25 of your Earth's years. This was in the 70s. Without oxygen, there cannot exist life upon your planet. If the peoples upon your planet do not come into sensibleness, they will eliminate themselves. The abrupt reply was given in 1978. The following exchange took place in 1989. Andrew, you used an interesting phrase earlier, that time is accelerating. What is the real meaning of the acceleration of time? Tom, if this planet were to pursue its course in the way it's doing, without acceleration, then you know that you would bring destruction, yeah? Andrew, yes. What is now accelerating, due to the meditations of humans have done on this planet, it is beginning of the acceleration of time, which then creates the situation that Earth becomes a light space vehicle, and humankind will suddenly become aware. It will be similar to the 100th monkey effect beginning. So if you now begin to understand the power of meditations and small groups, such as yours, you can change the world. And in 1989 this question was asked concerning famine. Andrew, one of the things I observe is that there is more and more hunger on this planet, and riots because of the shortage of food and high prices. What can little people like us do in that particular area? Tom, it is not necessary for anyone upon this planet to die from lack of nourishment. It is only because of ignorance, or because of the governments of the world attempting to control others. We will not permit the extinction of any groups of human. You understand? But you must now incorporate it in your meditations. Through meditations, you may prevent the destruction. Ian, how are the chances of evolution on this planet? How are the chances of survival? Tom, there has never been a time in the past as there is now to bring forth the evolution of your planet. All things are possible, and change may come with rapidity. We will give you an example. 1 year ago, 1987, in the nation of Israel, at the time of Passover, the people of Israel were devastating the nation with litter. It was a sight that brought great sadness. And in 1 year, what has evolved in the nation of Israel is what is called a miracle upon earth, for during this time it was cleaned up, no debris, and people found greater respect for themselves and others. If this happens in the nation of Israel, which is largely stubborn, then whatever you choose to can be done. The movement for change is in motion. Those who know may stop the malignancy of hunger upon earth, and can also stop catastrophe brought about by man, and can make your planet what it was created for. Ian, how much are you supporting and influencing evolution and the people who want to help evolution? Tom, when anyone asks the question, what can we do? We are there. You see, we cannot do an iota of movement until a person asks. We may not, cannot, and will not interfere in free will. But when a human asks, and at times they only ask in joviality, they do not mean it from the depth of their soul, then we may help them to evolve. It is important for people to be aware that they are not alone in the universe, and also that they must take responsibility, for they cannot escape responsibility. John, could you give a word of advice to individuals? Because many people say, well, what can I personally do? Is there some small thing that individuals can contribute? Tom, it is very simple, only in a manner that you may love yourself for. Behave only in a manner in which you would wish another to do towards you. Do no movement, thought, or thing that you, in your soul, in your consciousness, cannot have self-respect for. When that begins, then all will change. All will change also when people accept that also those that live elsewhere in the universe are available to give you love and understanding. All will change when people understand the energies within. We have been working very hard, though that is not the proper word, because we do not really work. But in your world, there is no word, so I will use that one. We have been working to prevent the crisis, and we have not, 1974, been successful. Many things have been set into motion many thousands of years ago, but we wish you to realize that there are things which were not part of the planning, and which are human beings' things that come about by greed and vanity and desire. We speak of the governments that control the world, that create the crisis. It was not part of the plan, do you understand? Andrew, yes I do, and we appreciate this discussion. Tom, this time has come for the people of the earth to demand from their governments, to demand from their religious leader, to demand from their teachers, to demand knowledge and understanding of what is truly happening. It is now the time of the people. Beforehand, your government and your religions and society kept your masses in ignorance and kept humankind tied down. Acceleration will cause those in your world to demand answer from their scientific community and their authorities. But the way to reach people, we have finally decided, is through their own physical bodies and the healing of their physical body. Many people will be healed and many people will become open to healing. It is through healing that the consciousness of the wider universe will be raised. It is important for humankind to know that it must begin to take responsibility for Earth, and that science must begin to understand that it does not hold within the power to dictate the rest of humankind, but it is only a portion of humankind. In its elitism, science has discarded the other echelons of humankind. Science has become the religion that manipulates and controls, and those who lead science must now begin to accept their responsibilities. It is a sad time for the world, because, as in past times, and in emotional times, the physical beings of this planet blame all others except themselves for their problems, which are in truth caused by themselves. It is as if in order to exonerate themselves, they would cause a blemish upon another, and they would throw them into a pit of snakes. They will in fact be ashamed at another time, but that has been the history of Earth. We cannot have that in the future, nor at this time. It is time for each individual, each nation, to stop and to respond, and to realize that it is within them that the blame lies, not with others. How can the nations exist in peace when the people do not exist in peace within themselves? Andrew. That is the big question. How can every person find peace in his or her own heart? Tom. Can you find peace within your own heart? Andrew. No, I have great difficulties, but I'm possibly in better shape than many people. Are you sure? Andrew. For myself, I say so, yes. Tom. Then you have made a great step, and we could say, yes, you have found peace. John. It would be enormously helpful to us if we could get from you some kind of picture of the ideal Earth, say 50 years on or 100 years from now. What kind of place, what kind of things in a material and physical sense would we expect to see on such a planet? Tom. It would be a planet of balance that would have the eye views of beauty and peace and gentleness of color. There would be gentleness and peace among the species upon this planet Earth in the care of humankind. But most importantly, would be the challenge to humankind in its peaceful, joyful existence, to create a quality of this existence that will bring forth the information and knowledge of the great joy of oneness in the universe. When humankind thinks of love and joy and beauty and peace and music and color and balance, things will be very different. People have become so adapted to believing that they need strife, conflict, and arrogance, so they have fear of boredom. We promise you it will not be. There will be no time for boredom, for the challenges that will exist upon this planet Earth, as the exemplary paradise and expansion of the universe, will continue for eternity. Therefore, there is always new knowledge, new color, new sound. There is an ecstasy in the perfection of Earth that is not induced by other means. However, it is not and will not be a place of continuous holiday. We tell that to you now. John, can I ask two practical questions? In some way, I believe the environment will change and it will become richer and more lush in terms of plant life. Is that true? Tom, that is correct. For negative energies negate life. John, and in some sense that will be used to overwhelm the ugly structures of today, will it? Tom, that is correct. They will have a portion remaining to remind antiquity in time. John, and one thing is the question of transport. There's massive amount of physical movement around the planet, and people and things that contribute a great deal to the destruction of our environment. Will there be less physical movement because of alternative means of communication? Tom, not less movement, but there will be the custom of not knowing different areas upon Earth and travel to them, but transport will take a form that will not congest, pollute, or destroy. Know this, Earth will not look the same in each place, therefore it will be necessary still to have travel. Yes, it will be possible to travel. John, it seems to me that there will probably be a deterioration and breakdown of institutions, economics, political and social balance, finances, and so on. I feel that this process will probably begin fairly soon. This is a general indication. Is there a general indication? Tom. But do you have the knowledge of why? John, well, I feel that this is something that has to happen before we can build anew. Is that not so? Tom. There is a partial possibility, but let us explain to you that the difficulties in your economic systems, with pollution in your air and streams and earth, with pollution within the spirit world surrounding the earth, and with a desire within souls for the things taken within them to give them an untrue sense of who they are, with drugs and pills, these manifestations are also the beginning of the breakdown. John, what about the future of schools and education? Tom, here there can be breakdown. There are for there not to be an ongoing education. The human mind is rebelling because of poisons, but it is also cannot absorb the knowledge in public education which has no truth. This has been a process. If you will review your systems of education through the last 20 to 30 years, up to 1975, there has not been improvement, but only deterioration, for it has not the benefit of the soul. Council says, I have not answered your questions, your assumption that some kind of breakdown is necessary before reconstruction. The answer is affirmative. At this time, balance must be accomplished, because the earth that you exist on cannot continue many more of your years. Within 200 of your years, there will be an ice age on this planet if something is not done, and then the souls who have been bottled and trapped on this planet will forever be trapped. This is because of the negativity they are involved with and the selling of their souls. They will not be able to evolve and to understand because they will be constantly involved with the desires and sufferings of the physical. Besides the challenges that are coming in your immediate future, with your many world problems, with your pollution, the problems of your food, and the problems of your governments, remember this, which will tell you, within 200 years of your life, this planet will be frozen. The reason that we come and the reason for the work we do is to make people aware, so we then can save the souls on this planet and stop the problems that has been created for the universe. This is now a dangerous time that we are in 1975, and the negative energy is building. With our technology, we will be able to help rid the planet of the problems that your pollution and your technology have created. Andrew, can you give us a thumbnail sketch as to how this knowledge will be transferred from your world to our world? Tom, it will be necessary for us to become visible and physical on your planet. There's not enough time to give this data, and for you to work out the technology, and the years that it will take. As you know, this planet will not be able to sustain itself, its waters will be polluted, its earth will not produce the food necessary, and the earth will be crowded with things and the souls that keep reincarnating on it, because they remember their physical desires of eating, of breeding, of their touches. This is really the reason that they are trapped within the ether of this planet. Andrew, if somebody came to me tomorrow in all good faith and all willingness and said, yes, I accept what you say is true, that there are things that are happening as you say that they are happening, and they are as you say they're happening, that these things are happening and you say they're happening, and what can I as a single individual do in a practical way to help to reverse this trend? What would your advice be? What would your advice be, Tom? What would your advice be? Tom. If this individual believes it, and then tells another, and that one tells another, and that one tells yet another, then things can change. Remember, there will be many that will be coming to people like you and asking questions. This will be a time for the masses. This will not be a time for the governments, nor the religions, nor the societies to control the masses. The masses will be told. They will be told on your radio, your television, and your publications, and they will hear and they will listen, because the evidence will be all about them. Andrew, so is it a matter of believing that you exist and acting thereon? Is that the essence of the message? Tom, this is true, because without acknowledging our existence, then we cannot help you. And the preparation will be to bring to people the knowledge that we will help and that we can help, and that we do not create a problem, that we only come to help in love and peace. And there will be many of the masses that will not understand the life form of which we speak. They will not be able to understand the cosmos and the bottleneck that this planet has created. But remember, this is not always necessary. The fact that we do exist, and the fact that they can accept this, and the fact that they will see that we come with no harm, that we come with love, is that matters. And when we help this planet in technology, we can also spread truth and love, so the souls of this planet can then evolve and can prevent the problems which are turning the universe inside out. Andrew, if the knowledge of all this is to spread through television and publications and the like, how will people living simple lives live without access to mass communication, such in many parts of Africa and Asia? How did they get to know about this, Tom? They will not need to know, because they already know. When you speak of Africa or Asia, they're not aware of exactly what, but they know that there's something happening. Also, the religious readers of India are very much aware that something is happening. It is the advanced countries, the so-called developed countries, that create the problem. If planet Earth can be saved, then it will be saved. The entire universe will be raised to a level in which all souls will have gained the nature of what they have searched for from the beginning of time. And remember that, when the souls of the universe have calmness and joy and peace within their hearts, and generate this love, it overtakes even those souls that are negative and dark, and brings life and love to them. Can you imagine that when you accomplish what you have come to this planet to do, the entire universe will be glowing with a light that will seem to be blinding, because it will be a light of pure love. All will become one, and that is what all have striven for. We ask only that you never, even in your darkest moment, even when you're disturbed with each other, even when you are disturbed with nations, and with peoples, that you never lose sight of what we have related here to you. When we look over the planet now, we see only a small glow here and there, and there are many dark areas. But we know that what you have come to Earth to do, when it is accomplished, will be a releasing of pure love in the entire universe. Irene, we were talking earlier about rules. I would like to go further with you, and this is from my instinct. I believe that there are no rules any longer. There may be rules as you understand them, but rules as we understand them no longer exist because of the level that we are moving forward. I also believe that this isn't the first time that all of us humans have experienced this, though you have a clearer memory of it, let's say, than we do. Will you accept that? Tom? But we all have memories. Irene, okay. We will move along. Yes, we were all here before. Tom, that is correct. And your memory is correct that you were here in times before, when there were no game rules. You are in absolute correctness, for there are no, what you term, ground rules. Irene, exactly. And it is our humanness will allow us to make the evolutionary step and leap once we understand completely that we weren't able to make it the last time. Tom, that is correct. What is operating from your inner self is your trust, your faith, your inner knowledge, and the beginning within of the comprehension of existence in times past, and the accountability that will evolve of necessity. Irene, all right. What is happening, as I believe it, is that we have evolved within our own humanness to a point where it is now necessary to integrate the spiritual with the humanist. Tom, that is correct. That is what Earth is for. Irene, that is alchemy, if properly put together. It will bring about the transformation. Tom, that is correct. Until Earth becomes a light space vehicle that is immortality forever. Irene, once humankind accepts their joy and that they no longer have to suffer to survive, they don't have to worry about being bored when the paradise is regained. You dropped a realization into my head, which is that when you look at history of humankind, one realizes from the earliest day they've set up problems, wars, disagreement, fights, deaths, killing, just so that they could overcome it. Then they have a moment of peace, and then it's disrupted again. What can we do to break this pattern? How do we begin? Now I know it has also to do with the integration of physicality, spirituality, etc. What else is going on there? Tom, you see, what is necessary is to take inbuilt human courage that becomes arrogance and return it to courage again. The courage is to be who you truly are, without the arrogance that was felt to be necessary because people believed they were special. Yes, now include that in your meditation, for when people begin to understand, then you humans will accelerate. Do you understand? Irene, yes. So courage becomes one of the cornerstones of the human foundation for the elevation. Tom. And charity. Irene. And Tom. Compassion. Irene. And Tom. Kindness. Irene. So those are the foundations, and it's possible, and it's upon those that we are to build our structure. It is from that we can connect to otherworldliness. Tom, you see, what creates the what's the time? Blimey. You see, what that creates is what people term a high. What? So Irene says, so those are the foundations, and it's upon those that we are to build our structure. It is from that we can connect to otherworldliness. Tom, you see, what that creates is what people term a high. Irene, at the same time that we're discussing this, there is something else that is also existing in another place and time. Tom, correct. Irene, we and you together can make that connection. Tom, correct. Irene, I can only get this far. There's something about the connection that has to do with reality outside the one that we know. What you're talking about is a foundation to build a human structure, but at the same time we must have a corollary, another space and time. Corollary, another space and time. Tom, that is correct. John, what can you tell us about that other reality? Tom, it is a mirror. Do you understand that the film, when it is removed from you? Irene, wait a minute, wait. So what you're talking about is that in that other space and time, so ridiculous words become, there will become a time when we'll just be able to communicate with thoughts, right? Tom, exactness. Irene, but we're not there yet. Tom, that is correct. And then you will go on forever and ever and ever, and there is not an end to eternity. When you look into mirrors together, what you see? You see yourself. Forever. Irene, right. Tom, no, also, energy builds, creates, it also encourages and it enforces. You need to remove the film from yourselves, which is the film image of Earth, which holds you in bondage. From the beginning, which is guilt. You understand, it's a serpent in the Garden of Eden. Irene, the one prior to creation had a knowing. Out of this knowing came many things. Among them the desire to create, or perhaps recreate, Earth. I'm skipping steps. Adam and Eve in the garden, the lessons of obedience, the understanding of free will, and the exercise of free will, and the choice of disobedience. Tom, the importance also is the exercise of free will in obedience. You see the opposites? Irene, absolutely. Tom, yes. What you must understand is that you yourself must uncover this revelation, as each of you must be revealed. John, I don't understand what you mean by be revealed. Tom, when you understand that, then you understand what we have said. John sighs. Tom, this is not an exercise in gaming. It is an exercise in developing your mental process of thinking for yourself. John, right now my brain is like a scrambled egg. Tom, when you understand who you are, then all that we are, the knowledge within us, then may be transferred completely to you. Ian, isn't it true that parts of us will be revealed in the process of structuring? Tom, that is correct. Ian, that we don't need to bother about these hypothetical things? Tom, that is exactness. When you begin like this, then there is a revelation in many. For this your world, this universe also, had to be structured. Now is the beginning of days of great importance for you, but most important for us. You will heal yourselves in earth. The beginning of the healing lies with those that have been through self and removed themselves from blocking. Understand our great love for you, our great joy in you, and remember and understand we wish earth to know of our love and our existence. We give to you love, we bring to you peace, and we are in gratefulness that you are with us. We leave you now.